Good morning and welcome back to Marty's Tying Bench. Today I'm putting together Vice Squad kits and we're going to tie Gary LaFontaine's Sparkle Emergent Pupa. Now we've got the Deep Sparkle and we got the Sparkle Emergent here. So their tie is almost the same, so I'll show you the differences and we'll get a 2-for-1 deal out of the same chassis. Can be tied in any size, of course. This is a 14. Fish it in 14s down to 18s. If you're around bigger caddis, of course, tie 12s or 10s. If you're around tiny micro caddis, the platform here is just good. Alright, I got a standard wet fly hook. And I like to use a neutral colored thread. We're going to use a lot of different colors of dubbing here. Now the SHROUD is at Lydias sparkle yarn for the original. Any kind of Antron will do. The yarn that you get in your kit will have two cords in it, or 3 cords in it, and 2 of them is about right for the size 14. And I got 2 of them there. What I'm going to do first is kind of tease this out with a wire brush down here against the table. And then trim any really bad strays and tie this in. Now I'm not going to go all the way back to the bend. Before I get to the bend, I'm going to push down on the top and try and get that yarn to spread out around the hook a little bit, and then come back to the bend of the hook. That will make the third step easier. Second step is dubbing. Any kind of dubbing. Pick the color that you want. LaFontaine had some real specific colors, but I just keep some green ones around and some yellow ones around, and that seems to cover my needs. Back 2/3 of the hook. Don't really need a taper. Most of the stuff is going to get hit. If you do it, it's thicker at the back than it is in the front. That's the correct taper for caddisfly pupa. Now I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter just to make it easier to handle. Because now I'm going to pull all of these forward. Pull them around to shroud the dubbing as best I can. You can actually pull on it to get that stuff to move back at the tie-in. And what I'm going to do is kind of pull it straight until I've got it fairly even, and then push back to create that ball. Couple of light turns, and before I tighten them up I can twist those things back until those fibers are running the length of the shank, and then just gently tug on this thing till you get more of a watermelon shape there. Now I can tighten up my thread. Done with that for now. For the deep version, you're going to have some soft hackle. It might be partridge, it might be just regular brown hen. So just going to grab a little bundle of it to tie legs in along the side. And you find it's easier to keep them even if you tie the side towards you first. Now these are just a little bit longer than the length of the body. It doesn't matter if they spread out a little bit, but for the most part, trying to keep it right on the side. Now get a bundle for the far side. And now it's easier to just eyeball it and see that they're even. Pinch that against the hook and get a couple of turns. And back up against the ball. And there's your legs on each side. The head on this thing is black ostrich or brown ostrich. And you want to get a good plush one. And with a little experience, you can look at these things and kind of tell it wants to curve one direction, just kind of like a hackle. And if you're able to tie it in with the curve facing rearward, this next step will be a breeze. If you fail, it just means you got to stroke it a few more times to get it to work. Because what I'm going to do is dampen my fingers, sweep those back, and make each turn right in front of the other. And then when I get to a dry spot, I'll sweep some more back and continue. And keep going until I get to the eye. A whip finish and a trim, and I'm done. Now, really you should have bent down the barb on this hook, because these things will start to tangle with each other in your fly box. So you either want to use a slotted fly box, or better yet, get barbless hooks. So there you go. This one's kind of twisted. That doesn't matter. It gets in the water. The reason for this Lydias yarn, or the Antron, is the trilobal nature of Antron is supposed to connect and hang on to small bubbles of air, which gives it a sheen like the sheath. Now we're going to tie the deep version. I've already tied half of it. Speed things up a little bit. First thing you're going to do is come in and just get a small amount of those things and pull it back. I mean, it looks like a trailing shuck, but really what it is it looks like some trailing bubbles. Hopefully those things will catch some air. Now, instead of tying in the legs on each side, we're going to tie in some deer hair on the top. And I'm going to get a bundle of it, a little bit more than was there for the legs. But you're not tying it like an elk hair cat. It's just not meant to float it. This is a anatomical feature. And since this is kind of ragged in length, I'm going to stack it. And I don't need it to be stacked perfectly, just get them together. I've got a few more than I need here. Length of the body. Oh, I need to start that thread first. That would be a real good trick. About the length of the body. Keeping all these turns back against the ball and not up against the eye, because that will let me trim this without accidentally nicking my thread and still leave me some space to bind down those butt ends. Okay, now we're going to finish the same way we did the other one, with one piece of ostrich. Sweep those back. if you got a pair of those extended rotary hackle pliers, the steps very easy. Right up to the eye, and pull everything back. Get the head shaped. And lip finish. And there you got the Emergent Sparkle Pupa. So have some of each, have it in a couple sizes, have it in a couple colors, but you will be amazed at how popular this can be with the fish. Have fun.